Welcome to HFY Chronicles, where humanity's spirit conquers the cosmos. Subscribe now and join the adventure. In the Grand Council Chamber of the Astral Dominion, Admiral Vex studied the holographic display with undisguised contempt. The human warship rotated slowly in the projection, its design archaic by Dominion standards. And they call this a battle cruiser? Laughter rippled through the assembly of high-ranking officials. It has chemical thrusters. Chemical. Their weapons are glorified projectile launchers. High Imperator Mez silenced the room with a gesture. Primitive as they are, they've been granted observer status in the Galactic Concord. Protocol demands minimal respect. Respect is earned, Vex countered. Their entire fleet couldn't damage a single Dominion destroyer. Their armor is steel alloy, not even basic quantum layered. The Imperator nodded, bored with the subject. Earth was a backwater world that had achieved faster-than-light travel barely a century ago, while the Dominion had ruled 10,000 worlds for millennia. Humans were curiosities, nothing more. On the other side of the galaxy, Captain Tara Reid stood on the bridge of the ESS Defiant, Earth's newest warship. Despite being the pride of the Earth Space Service, Reid knew exactly how the Dominion viewed their vessel, as a child's toy. "Status report," she ordered, watching her crew work with precise efficiency, despite knowing they were considered a joke among the advanced species. "All systems nominal, Captain," First Officer Kell responded. "Preparing for jump to the Proxima system." Reid nodded, studying the star chart. The Defiant had been assigned to represent Earth at a minor diplomatic conference, the kind of assignment given to show the flag without risking anything important. Humans were always invited as observers, never participants. "You look troubled," said Dr. Milo, the ship's scientific advisor, joining her at the command station. "Just wondering when we'll be taken seriously," Reid admitted. "The Dominion treats us like we're still figuring out fire. Their technical representative actually patted me on the head at the last summit." Milo smiled. "They've been the undisputed power for so long they've forgotten what it's like to innovate. When was the last time they developed new technology, rather than just refining the old?" Reid considered this. The Dominion possessed technology that seemed like magic to humans: quantum shields, gravity manipulation, star energy weapons. But Milo had a point. The Dominion hadn't produced anything revolutionary in centuries. "Captain," the communications officer interrupted. "New orders from Earth Command. We're being redirected to Arcturus. Some kind of distress signal." Reid frowned. Arcturus was a neutral system on the edge of Dominion space. "Any details on the distress call?" "Only that it's urgent. We're the closest ESS vessel." "Plot a course, maximum speed," Reid ordered, "and run a full diagnostic on weapons systems." The crew exchanged glances. Weapons diagnostics were routine, but doing so while responding to a distress call near Dominion space sent a clear message. "Captain," Kell said quietly, "if there's Dominion involvement, then we'll be diplomatic," Reid replied firmly. "But we'll also be prepared." As the Defiant prepared to jump, Reid studied the ship's specifications on her display. Outdated by Dominion standards, perhaps, but Earth engineers had been refining these systems for decades. What they lacked in advanced technology, they made up for in redundancy, durability, and creative implementation. The Defiant might be considered primitive, but Reid had always believed that necessity bred innovation. Humans had fought their way to the stars without the advantages the ancient species took for granted. That counted for something. "Jump systems ready, Captain." Reid took a deep breath. Jump. The stars blurred as the Defiant tore through space, unaware it was heading toward an encounter that would reshape the galaxy's balance of power. While the Dominion laughed at human warships, they had never actually faced one in combat. That was about to change. The Defiant dropped out of hyperspace, at the edge of the Arcturus system, sensors immediately sweeping for the source of the distress signal. What they found instead froze the blood in Captain Reid's veins. 3 massive Dominion warships surrounded a small civilian station, their distinctive purplish energy weapons systematically dismantling the structure. Debris and bodies floated in the vacuum. "Status of the station?" Reid demanded. "Life support failing," Kell reported grimly. "Approximately 200 civilians still aboard, mostly scientists and their families." "Why would the Dominion attack a research station?" Dr. Milo wondered aloud. eyes fixed on the tactical display. Reed's mind raced. The Arcturus station was neutral territory, dedicated to astronomical research. An unprovoked attack was unprecedented, even for the arrogant Dominion. They haven't spotted us yet, the tactical officer noted. Our signature is masked by the asteroid field. Reed faced an impossible choice. The Defiant was outmatched by any one of those Dominion vessels, let alone 3. Intervention meant certain destruction. Protocol dictated they gather evidence and retreat to report the violation. Captain, Kell said quietly, we can't take on those ships. Reed watched as another section of the station exploded silently into space. How many of those civilians are children? The question hung in the air. No one needed to answer. Tactical, give me options, Reed ordered. We could launch a rescue operation, the tactical officer suggested hesitantly. Use the asteroid field. For cover, approach from the blind side, dock with the station's emergency airlock. While 3 Dominion warships just watch us, Kell objected. Reed's eyes narrowed. No, we need a diversion. She studied the tactical display. Here's the plan. We'll launch a spread of missiles toward the Dominion ships, not to hit them, but to detonate at this coordinate. She indicated a point in space. Maximum yield, maximum debris field. Their shields will easily absorb the impact, Kell pointed out. I'm counting on it, Reed replied. But they'll have to divert power to shields. We need 15 minutes to evacuate those civilians. 15 minutes where they're looking somewhere else. The crew prepared for battle with quiet efficiency. Reed felt their fear, but also their resolve. No human ship had ever engaged the Dominion in combat. Launch missiles on my mark, Reed ordered. Engineering, prepare for emergency power to engines. Immediately after detonation, the missiles streaked across space, detonating precisely where Reed had indicated. The explosion was magnificent, a short-lived star that flooded sensors across the system. Now, Reed commanded. The Defiant shot forward, using the sensor disruption as cover. They reached the station's emergency dock in 4 minutes. Marine teams rushed aboard to evacuate survivors while the Dominion ships, momentarily distracted, regrouped. Dominion vessels changing course, Tactical reported. They've spotted us. The first energy blast from the lead Dominion ship caught the edge of the Defiant's shields, making the entire ship shudder. Shields at 60% from one glancing hit, engineering reported. Reed watched as the evacuation continued. 8 minutes left, and the Dominion ships were closing fast. Then Dr. Milo shouted, "Captain, look at the energy dispersion pattern." On the display, the residual energy from the Dominion weapon was behaving oddly against their shields, creating a unique interference pattern. They're quantum weapons. They're creating a harmonic resonance in our shield matrix, Milo explained rapidly. It's a vulnerability, but it works both ways. Their shields must have the same fundamental frequency as their weapons. Reed looked at him sharply. Meaning? Meaning we might be able to use their own weapon signature against them. Another blast rocked the ship. Shields at 30%, but evacuation was nearly complete. And now they had something else. The first hint of a weakness in Dominion. Technology that no one had ever noticed before, if they survived to report it. Last civilians aboard, the Marine commander reported. 93 survivors secured. Captain Reed nodded grimly. The Defiant had been hit twice more during the evacuation, and shield strength was critical. 3 Dominion warships now blocked their escape vector, massive and imposing against the starfield. "We have prisoners, Captain," Kell informed her. The station commander and his family were rescued. "Get me whatever information they have on why the Dominion attacked," Reed ordered. "We need to understand what we've stumbled into." The Defiant shuddered as another energy blast dissipated against their failing shields. Shields at 8%, engineering reported. "One more direct hit and we're done." Reed studied the tactical display. "Dr. Milo, explain that harmonic resonance again. Can we weaponize it?" Milo's fingers flew across his console. "Not without time to analyze it properly. But there's something else. Look at the energy pattern when their weapons fire." The display showed a distinctive pulse sequence in the Dominion energy weapons. "Their weapons go through a reset cycle after firing," Milo explained. "Only milliseconds, but it's there." "How does that help us?" Reed asked. "It doesn't, directly. but it suggests their shield systems might have the same vulnerability. A reset cycle we could exploit. The ship rocked again as a near miss sent them tumbling. "We need to run," Kell insisted. "Maximum speed, random jumps." Reed made her decision. "Prepare the jump drive. But first, tactical, lock all remaining missiles on these coordinates." She indicated points in space near, but not on, the Dominion vessels. "Detonate on my mark." "Captain?" The tactical officer looked confused. "Trust me. Engineering, when those missiles detonate, I want a full sensor sweep of the Dominion shields, specifically looking for fluctuations in their energy patterns." The crew worked with desperate efficiency as the Dominion ships closed in. The Defiant was moments from being captured or destroyed, missiles ready. "Fire!" Reed ordered. The missiles streaked toward their targets, exploding in brilliant flashes. As predicted, the Dominion ships diverted power to their shields. "Sensor sweep complete. Jump now," Reed commanded. The Defiant vanished into hyperspace. Just as the lead Dominion vessel fired again, the energy beam passing through empty space. Hours later, with relative safety established, Reed assembled her senior staff to review what they'd learned. The station commander, a gaunt man named Pax, had joined them. "They came without warning," Pax explained. "Our station was studying an ancient artifact recovered from Arcturus IV. We believed it predated even the Dominion. And they wanted it," Reed surmised. "They took it," Pax confirmed. "Then systematically began eliminating witnesses." Milo interrupted, excitement in his voice. "Captain, the sensor data confirms my theory. When the Dominion shields absorb energy, they go through a microsecond reset cycle. It's imperceptible unless you're specifically looking for it." "A weakness?" Reed asked. "Potentially. Their entire technological approach is built around quantum state manipulation. Efficient, but rigid. If we could force multiple reset cycles simultaneously across their shield matrix, their shields would collapse," Kell finished. Reed processed this information. "We need to get this intelligence back to Earth." "We're being pursued," Tactical reported. "Dominion ships entered hyperspace on our trajectory. Somehow they were tracking the Defiant despite its stealth systems." Reed suspected the station's artifact was connected, both to the Dominion's attack and their pursuit capabilities. "Prepare for emergency maneuvers," she ordered, "and get me a secure channel to Earth Command, Priority Alpha." As the Defiant continued its desperate flight, Reed realized they'd stumbled upon something far more significant than a diplomatic incident. They had discovered the first crack in the Dominion's seemingly impenetrable technological superiority, and if they survived long enough to exploit that weakness, the balance of power across the galaxy might never be the same again. Human warships were still a joke, but no one on the Defiant was laughing anymore. Fleet Admiral Jorn studied the data packets transmitted by the Defiant with growing excitement. After 3 weeks of evasive maneuvers, Captain Reed had finally managed to lose her Dominion pursuers and establish secure communication with Earth Command. "This harmonic resonance vulnerability, you're certain?" he asked the holographic projection of Reed. "Dr. Milo has verified it across multiple sensor readings," Reed confirmed. "Their shield technology has a fundamental flaw, a reset cycle that could be exploited." Admiral Jorn exchanged glances with the assembled scientists and military strategists. For centuries, humanity had been dismissed as technologically inferior. The Dominion's quantum shields had seemed unassailable. "And what of the artifact they seized?" asked Dr. Lana Vale, Earth's foremost xenoarchaeologist. "According to the station, survivors, it predates known galactic civilization," Reed replied. "The Dominion was willing to commit an atrocity to obtain it. That alone suggests its significance." "Or their fear of what it might reveal," Vale mused. Admiral Jorn made his decision. "Captain Reed, I'm initiating Project Sunflare. Your discovery may be the opportunity we've been waiting for." 48 hours later, the Defiant docked at Earth's orbital shipyard. Reed watched from the observation deck as teams of scientists and engineers swarmed over her vessel. Dr. Milo had barely slept since their return, working alongside Earth's brightest minds to develop a weapon that could exploit the Dominion shields. "Reset cycle. It's rather elegant, actually," Milo explained as they observed the modifications being made to the Defiant's weapon systems. "Their shields are designed to absorb and dissipate energy attacks, But if we hit them with precisely calibrated pulses that match their reset frequency, their shields collapse, Reed finished. Theoretically. We've never had the opportunity to test it. Reed's expression hardened. We might get that chance sooner than expected. Intelligence suggests the Dominion is preparing a punitive expedition. They know we rescued witnesses to their attack. Admiral Jorn joined them, his face grave. It's worse than that. We've intercepted communications indicating they're assembling a fleet to strike Earth directly. They're calling it a preemptive security action. They mean to eliminate us before we can share what we know with other species, Reed realized. Project Sunflare is our only hope, Jorn confirmed. We're retrofitting your weapons systems with the pulse modulators Dr. Milo designed. The Defiant will be our test platform. With respect, Admiral, we should be equipping every ship in the fleet, Reed argued. We don't have time. The Dominion fleet will reach our outer colonies within 2 weeks. The Defiant is our most advanced vessel, and already has the sensor data needed for calibration. Reed understood the implications. They were sending the Defiant, one ship, to oppose a Dominion battle fleet. What are our orders? She asked quietly. Strike first, Jorn replied. Hit their forward command center at Proxima Outpost. If Sunflare works, we need to know before they reach Earth. Later, Reed addressed her crew. Many had requested transfers, after their narrow escape, and she couldn't blame them. Those who remained knew the odds they faced. This mission is voluntary, she concluded. I won't order anyone to what might be a suicide run. Kel stepped forward. We all saw what they did to that station. If we don't stop them, Earth could be next. One by one, the crew affirmed their commitment. Even the rescued civilians from Arcturus had volunteered their expertise. As the retrofitted Defiant prepared to depart, Dr. Milo joined Reed on the bridge. The pulse modulator is untested technology, he cautioned, and will only get one shot before they adapt. Reed nodded. Then we make it count. The Defiant slipped away from Earth under stealth protocols, carrying with it humanity's best hope for survival. The ship that had once been considered a primitive joke was now armed with the potential to change the course of galactic history, if they lived long enough to use it. The journey to Proxima Outpost took 5 days of careful navigation through hyperspace, avoiding known Dominion patrol routes. Captain Reed used the time to drill her crew relentlessly on the new weapon systems and emergency protocols. The Sunflare pulse modulator had been integrated into the Defiant's main cannon, requiring precise calibration before each firing sequence. The timing has to be perfect, Dr. Milo emphasized during the final briefing. We need to hit their shields exactly as they cycle into reset phase. Miss that millisecond window, and we're just throwing energy at quantum barriers. And how exactly do we identify that millisecond? Asked Lena, the weapons officer. The young lieutenant had been skeptical of the theoretical technology since installation. Milo displayed a complex waveform on the tactical screen. Their shield emissions create this pattern. When you see this spike, that's your firing window. That's impossibly fast, Lena observed. Which is why we've modified the targeting computers with the predictive algorithm, Milo countered. The computer will anticipate the cycle based on shield behavior. Reed watched her crew absorb the information, noting their expressions ranging from doubt to determination. They had every right to be concerned. Everything about this mission defied conventional military wisdom. Questions? Reed asked. Kel raised his hand. What's our extraction plan when, if, we successfully hit the outpost? Reed's slight hesitation told everyone there wasn't one. We'll have to improvise based on their response. The briefing concluded, and Reed found herself alone on the observation deck, staring at the streaking lights of hyperspace. Commander Pax, the rescued station administrator, joined her there. Your crew is afraid, he noted. As they should be. Reed nodded. Fear keeps you sharp. It also divides, Pax countered. Half your officers believe in this mission. The other half think it's suicide. What do you believe? Reed asked. Pax was silent for a moment. I believe I watched the Dominion murder my colleagues without hesitation. I believe they've gone unchallenged for too long. That doesn't answer my question. I believe, Pax said carefully, that sometimes the primitive solution surprises those who have forgotten the basics. Reed considered his words. The Dominion's technological advantage had made them complacent. They hadn't faced a serious military challenge in centuries. "We drop out of hyperspace in 6 hours," Reed said finally. "You should get some rest." But rest proved elusive for the captain. Instead, she found herself in engineering, reviewing the Sunflare modifications yet again. Chief Engineer Trell looked up from his console as she entered. "Can't sleep either?" he asked. "Too much at stake," Reed admitted. Trell nodded. "I've been thinking about power distribution. If we divert emergency reserves to the pulse modulator, we might get 2 shots instead of 1. At the cost of shield regeneration," Reed noted. "Yes, it's a gamble." Reed studied the schematics. "Do it. If the first shot fails, shields won't save. Us anyway." As 0 hour approached, Reed gathered her senior staff one final time. "When we drop out of hyperspace, we'll have approximately 30 seconds before their sensors detect us," she explained. "That's our window to target and fire. After that, it's improvisation." "And if Sunflare fails?" Kell asked the question everyone was thinking. Reed met each of their eyes. "Then we've given Earth valuable intelligence on their defensive capabilities. The next ship might succeed where we failed." "There's something else you should know," Dr. Milo interjected. "Based on our sensor readings from Arcturus, I believe the artifact the Dominion seized wasn't just valuable, it was threatening to them." "Threatening how?" Reed asked. "The energy signature we briefly detected suggests technology that predates and potentially surpasses Dominion capabilities. If I'm right, they attacked that station not to acquire the artifact, but to prevent anyone else from studying it." This revelation hung in the air, the possibility that the Dominion's technological supremacy might be a carefully maintained illusion rather than an insurmountable reality. "Battle stations," Reed ordered as the hyperspace countdown began. "Whatever happens next, know that each of you has already made history. The first humans to challenge the Dominion directly." As the Defiant prepared to emerge into normal space, Reed took her command chair, eyes fixed on the view screen. One ship against an empire. Primitive technology against quantum mastery. But maybe, just maybe, primitive was exactly what was needed. The Defiant dropped out of hyperspace precisely 200,000 kilometers from Proxima Outpost, emerging behind the system's outer moon to mask their signature. Through the view screen, the massive Dominion installation gleamed against the starfield, a sprawling complex of interconnected structures surrounded by defensive arrays and patrolling warships. 5 Dominion vessels detected, Tactical reported. 3 destroyers, 2 cruisers. Our signature is still masked by the moon's radiation belt. Reed nodded. Status of Sunflare? Online and calibrated, Lena confirmed, her hands steady, despite the tension. Targeting computers are tracking shield emissions from the outpost's main generator. Time until detection? 28 seconds. Reed took a deep breath. Target the outpost's command center. All power to Sunflare. The ship hummed as energy diverted to the experimental weapon. On the tactical display, the targeting computer tracked the oscillating pattern of the Dominion shields, searching for the millisecond vulnerability. 15 seconds to detection. Fire when ready, Reed ordered. Lena's fingers hovered over the controls, eyes locked on the emission pattern. Pattern recognized. Firing solution calculated. The Defiant shuddered. As the modified cannon discharged, sending a precisely modulated energy pulse toward the unsuspecting outpost. For a breathless moment, nothing happened. Then the impossible occurred. The outpost's shields flickered, pulsed, and collapsed entirely. The Sunflare pulse had worked exactly as theorized, catching the quantum shields in their reset cycle and forcing a catastrophic failure across the entire matrix. "Direct hit!" Lena exclaimed. "Their shields are down!" Before Reed could issue the next command, the Defiant's sensors blared a warning. "Dominion vessels changing course. They've detected us." Second Sunflare charge at 70%. Engineering reported. Reed made a split-second decision. Target the lead destroyer. Fire as soon as charged. The Dominion ships moved with practiced precision, their formation designed to overlap defensive fields. What they didn't expect was for their shields to be irrelevant. The second Sunflare pulse struck the destroyer, collapsing its shields instantly. The vessel's unprotected hull absorbed the remaining energy, causing secondary explosions across its surface. "Impossible," whispered Pax, watching from beside the science station. They're vulnerable. The remaining Dominion ships hesitated, their tactical doctrine suddenly obsolete. Reed seized the moment of confusion. All conventional weapons, target the outpost's communication array, she ordered. Then prepare for emergency jump. Standard missiles streaked toward the defenseless outpost, striking the massive communication dishes that connected it to the broader Dominion network. As the array exploded in silent fury, Reed knew they had accomplished something unprecedented. They had struck a blow the Dominion could not ignore or dismiss. "Jump drive ready," navigation reported. "Wait," Reed commanded, studying the tactical display. The Dominion ships were regrouping, but something unexpected was happening. They're not pursuing intercept courses. Indeed, the Dominion vessels had formed a defensive perimeter around the damaged outpost, seemingly anticipating further attacks rather than giving chase. They don't understand what just happened, Milo realized. They're protecting against a fleet that isn't there. Reed allowed herself a tight smile. And they can't report what they don't understand, not with their communication array destroyed. The implications spread through the bridge like wildfire. The Dominion, for all its technological might, had just experienced something outside its collective experience. An inferior species had bypassed their impenetrable defenses. "Set course for the Archon Nebula," Reed ordered. "We need to transmit our findings to Earth before the Dominion realizes what happened." As the Defiant prepared to jump, long-range sensors detected a massive energy surge from the damaged Dominion. "Outpost, self-destruct sequence, tactical analyzed. They're eliminating evidence." The outpost exploded in a blinding flash, confirming what Reed had suspected. The Dominion feared discovery of their vulnerability more than they valued their own installation. 3 days later, safely hidden in the nebula's interference, the Defiant transmitted encrypted data packages to Earth Command. The response came within hours. "All available shipyards have been mobilized to implement Sunflare technology," Admiral Jorn's message confirmed. "The Dominion fleet approaching Earth has slowed its advance, seemingly uncertain after losing contact with Proxima." Outpost. Reed shared the news with her crew, who received it with cautious optimism. They had proven the theory, demonstrated the vulnerability, and survived to report it. But all of them knew this was merely the beginning. "The Dominion will adapt," Milo warned. "Their technological base is still far beyond ours." "Perhaps," Reed acknowledged, "but they've never had to adapt before. That gives us an advantage they can't calculate." The Defiant had accomplished the impossible. A single human ship had struck a blow against the galaxy's dominant power. And now, throughout Dominion space, an uncomfortable question was being asked for the first time in millennia. What if we aren't invincible after all? The Grand Council chamber of the Astral Dominion, once a place of ordered serenity, had descended into chaos. Admiral Vex stood before the assembled hierarchy, his proud posture now diminished by the weight of unprecedented failure. 4 months, High Imperator Mez hissed. 4 months since a single human vessel crippled Proxima Outpost, and we still cannot replicate how they bypassed our shields. The outpost's self-destruct eliminated most evidence, Vex replied defensively. But we've enhanced shield harmonics across the fleet. The vulnerability has been addressed. Has it? An intelligence officer stepped forward. Reports from 17 systems indicate human vessels successfully penetrating our defensive perimeters. They're spreading their technology to other subject species. This revelation sent fresh waves of alarm through the chamber. The elaborate hierarchy of the Dominion depended on technological superiority. If that advantage disappeared, the invasion. "Fleet must strike Earth immediately," Vex insisted. "Eliminate the threat at its source." Mez studied the strategic display. The Dominion's main battle fleet, 200 warships strong, had assembled at the edge of the Sol system. More than enough to reduce Earth to cinders, despite the humans' shield-penetrating technology. "The order is given," Mez declared. "Eliminate Earth. Make an example that will echo across the galaxy for millennia." Aboard the Defiant, now equipped with enhanced versions of the Sunflare technology, Captain Reed reviewed final preparations with her bridge crew. Earth's orbital defenses bristled with newly developed weapons, and the assembled human fleet, though small by Dominion standards, stood ready for the coming assault. "Dominion fleet has entered the system," Tactical announced. 200 vessels on intercept course. Admiral Jorn's face appeared on the command screen. Captain Reed, execute Operation Daybreak. Reed nodded grimly. Acknowledged. The human fleet split into 5 task forces, each targeting a different section of the advancing Dominion Armada. The Defiant led the central group, aiming directly for the Dominion flagship. They've enhanced their shields, Milo observed from the science station. The harmonic patterns are more complex. As expected, Reed replied. Initiate Sunflare Protocol Beta. This newest iteration of the technology didn't target shield reset cycles directly. Instead, it created cascading harmonic disruptions across multiple frequencies simultaneously. A solution Dr. Milo had developed after studying the artifact. Data recovered from Arcturus Station. The first shots were exchanged at extreme range. Dominion energy weapons blazed across space, met by precisely targeted sunflare pulses. Where the pulses struck, Dominion shields flickered and failed, leaving vessels vulnerable to conventional follow-up strikes. They're adapting, Kell warned as the battle progressed. Rotating shield frequencies to prevent predicted targeting. Reed had anticipated this. Execute Dispersal Pattern Omega. All ships, switch to Sunflare wide-spectrum emission. The human fleet reconfigured its attack, now firing Sunflare pulses that covered broader frequency ranges. Less efficient, but harder to defend against. The battle devolved into a technological duel. Dominion engineers frantically adjusting shield harmonics, while human weapon systems hunted for new vulnerabilities. Hours into the engagement, with casualties mounting on both sides, the Defiant identified the Dominion flagship's position. They're centralizing shield control for the entire fleet, Milo reported after analyzing transmission patterns. Standard Dominion protocol, efficiency through unity. Reed saw the opportunity immediately. That's our opening. If we can reach the flagship and deploy the resonance catalyst directly into their central shield generator. The plan was audacious. While the main fleet continued engaging Dominion forces, the Defiant would use the chaos to approach the flagship, where a strike team would deploy a device designed to overload the entire Dominion network. It's a one-way mission, Kell noted quietly. Reed nodded. Volunteers only. Every officer on the bridge stepped forward. The Defiant dove through the battling fleets, taking hits but driving relentlessly toward its target. When they reached transfer range, Reed led the strike team herself, crossing to the Dominion flagship through a targeted breach in its compromised shields. What they found inside confirmed Dr. Milo's long-held suspicion. The Dominion's technology wasn't entirely their own. At the heart of their shield generator sat a device similar to the artifact from Arcturus. Ancient technology they had discovered and adapted without fully understanding. Their entire empire is built on borrowed power, Reed realized as they planted the resonance catalyst. When it activated, the effect was immediate and system-wide. Shield generators across the Dominion fleet experienced cascading failures as the frequency disruption spread through their network. Many ships self-destructed rather than face capture, including the flagship. The Defiant, severely damaged but still operational, limped back toward Earth as the remnants of the Dominion fleet retreated in disarray. 1 year later, Captain, now Admiral, Reed stood before the newly formed Galactic Council. Representatives from dozens of species, many formerly under Dominion control, had gathered to establish a new interstellar order. The Dominion ruled through fear and technological mystique, Reed addressed the assembly. When that mystique was broken, their empire collapsed like a house of cards. And now humans sit at the high table, observed the representative from the Arcturus Collective. One of many new powers emerging from the Dominion's fall. Not above, but among, Reed corrected. The artifact technology is being studied openly, by all member species. We've learned from the Dominion's mistake. As the council session continued, Reed found herself reflecting on how quickly the galaxy had changed. Just 2 years ago, human warships had been a joke, their technology dismissed as primitive by species who had traveled the stars for millennia. Now they were respected, even feared in some quarters, not because they had developed the most advanced technology, but because they had found ways to use what they had more effectively. Admiral Reed, the Galactic Council's newly elected chairperson, addressed her. The resolution to establish a cooperative technological exchange program has passed unanimously. Reed nodded in acknowledgement. The program would ensure no single species could monopolize crucial technologies again. It was the foundation of a more balanced galactic order. As the session concluded, Dr. Milo joined her in the corridor outside. Quite a change from being patted on the head at diplomatic functions, he observed with a smile. The Dominion's greatest weakness wasn't in their shield harmonics, Reed replied. It was their certainty that they had nothing to learn from lesser species. Beyond the council chamber windows, ships from dozens of worlds moved in orderly patterns. Among them, the refitted Defiant stood as a symbol of how innovation could overcome overwhelming odds. Human warships were no longer a joke, and the galaxy was better for it.